Welcome y'all to Robin on the Farm. Today I'm going to show you how I make flour tortillas. These flour tortillas only have 3 ingredients. 4 if you count the water, but I don't really count the water. These are so simple to throw together and they are delicious. One of my goals is to never have to buy bread from the grocery store, and so knowing how to make these flour tortillas is such a lifesaver because I make a lot of recipes with these flour tortillas. Plus they're just good just to eat as a little snack. Oh, they are so good. So all we need for these flour tortillas is some flour, some salt, a stick of butter, and some water, and that's it. So I'm going to use my mixer today, but you can just as easily make these flour tortillas by hand. But if you have a mixer, you might as well use it, right? So that's what I'm going to do today. So let's just get started on the recipe. I'm going to use 1 stick or a 1/2 cup of melted butter. So I went ahead and melted this on my stovetop. This is a really cool little melting pot by Lodge, and I love it. I use it several times a day. So just throw that right on into your mixing bowl. And to that, I'm going to use 1 cup of warm to hot water. There's no yeast or anything in these, so it doesn't really matter how warm it is, but since you already have melted butter, you don't want it to be really cold so that your butter doesn't start to harden. So 1 cup warm water right on in there. And next I'm going to add my flour. I'm going to add 3 cups of flour. Now you want all-purpose flour. You don't really want bread flour, you don't want self-rising flour, anything like that. All-purpose flour works great for these flour tortillas. So I'm going to use 3 cups. And I'm just going to put it right on into my mixing bowl. Okay, 3 cups right on in there. And our very last ingredient already is some salt. You can use any kind of salt that you want. I'm going to use this Redmond's Ancient Fine Sea Salt. I want 1.5 teaspoons of this salt. Definitely pour it, not over your mixing bowl though. So 1.5 teaspoons. You can use white table salt, you can use this salt, you can use the pink Himalayan salt, just whatever you want to use, whatever you have on hand. And those are all of our ingredients already. So I'm going to throw this into my mixer and I'm going to let this mix up and knead for about 5 to 6 minutes. If you're mixing this by hand, then I would mix it really well and then turn it out onto a countertop and give it a good knead, probably for about 8 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. I'm going to turn this on to speed 2 if you have a KitchenAid mixer. And I'm just going to let this mix and knead for about 5 to 6 minutes. And I'll show you what the dough should look like. My dough for the flour tortillas has been mixing for about 2 minutes. And this is what you want your dough to look like. Now you can see that it is a little bit of a sticky dough. And that is exactly what you want. You do not want to add too much flour to these flour tortillas, because they'll get a little dense and they won't be as soft and pliable and flexible. So you don't want hard tortillas. So this is what you want your dough to look like. I'm going to let this knead for about another 4 minutes and then I'll show it to you then. I've let my dough knead for 6 minutes and it's looking great. It's time to turn off the mixer. Time to check out the dough. You know, I was at the grocery store the other day and I saw that a little pack of 12 flour tortillas cost more than $4. I was shocked. This dough is homemade, it doesn't have any of the junk in it, and these are going to be so much better than those gross, like cardboard tasting flour tortillas. These are going to taste good. Okay, so check out our dough. Isn't this nice dough? It's so rich with the butter in it and it's so just pliable and nice. It feels so good. Now is the time that we let our dough rest. So I'm gonna get it out of my mixer and I am just gonna cover it with a warm, wet tea towel and I'm gonna let my dough rest for about 30 minutes. I usually go 20 to 30 minutes. When you let your dough rest, your flour is gonna fully hydrate and you're gonna get an easier dough to work with. So it's gonna be easier to shape and to roll out without it springing back on itself. Plus the end result is gonna be better. You're gonna have softer, more pliable flour tortillas, which is the goal. The dough for our flour tortillas has been resting for 30 minutes. So if time gets away from you with this dough, it really doesn't matter because it's not a yeasted or leavened dough, so it's not going to overproof or anything like that. So if you need to let it rest longer than 30 minutes, you can go a couple hours and it's totally fine. But this is what you want your dough to look like. Doesn't that look nice? Okay, Now that it's rested, I'm gonna go ahead and divide this dough up. This recipe makes about 16 8-inch flour tortillas. So I like just to divide it in fourths and then divide each one of those into 4s. You can get out your scale if you want to be really specific, but I don't want to. I'm gonna do this the easy way. So I'm gonna divide it into 4, and then each one of these is gonna get divided into 4 again, and that's some easier math to me. I'm using my little bench scraper. You can also just break it apart with your hands if you don't have anything else, or just use a knife. That works too, but this thing's really great and handy. Okay, now they're all about the same size, but not exactly because I didn't weigh them, but I'm gonna take each one of these little pieces and I'm just gonna roll them into a ball. And while I'm working on these, I'm gonna go ahead and get my cast iron griddle heating up on the stove. This is my 10.5-inch cast iron griddle. This is what I usually make my biscuits on, but I also make my flour tortillas on this cast iron griddle. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on medium heat. I usually put it between a 3 and a 4. And I'm gonna let this go ahead and get nice and hot while I'm rolling out my tortillas. Okay, I have 16 little balls of dough here for my tortillas, and I'm gonna show you 2 different ways that I like to press out my tortillas. First way is with a rolling pin. So you just roll it out, you try to make it as circular as you want. And I'm making these for some tacos, so I like them to be about 8 inches in diameter. If you want to make these for some burritos or some enchiladas, then I would divide this dough up maybe into 10 different pieces and make about 10-inch diameter little rounds. That would work great for that. Okay, so you just roll it out really nice and thin. The thinner the better for these. And I'm not very good at making circles, but that's okay. And this is what that looks like. Doesn't that look good? Okay, but I also have this really cool cast iron tortilla press. This is a manual tortilla press, but it's so easy to use. It's cast iron, so I oiled it up really well with some olive oil. And I'm just gonna throw a little ball in there. This is an 8-inch tortilla press. They also have 10-inch tortilla presses, but I just like to throw it in there, and then you just very lightly press down on it. And then you just pull up on it, and there it is. Look at that. It's actually a perfect circle, which is so cool. There it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and start getting these thrown onto my griddle back there, and I'll show you how I do it. Okay, so you just wanna throw it onto your cast iron skillet, and you wanna let it bake on that cast iron skillet for about 30 seconds to 50 seconds. And it should start to puff up like it's starting to right there. And I'm just gonna let this go probably for about another 30 seconds, and then I'm gonna flip it over. It's been on that first side for about a minute. I'm gonna go ahead and flip it over. That looks good. So once it's gone about another 45 seconds to a minute, I'm gonna flip it over one more time. And look at that beautiful little tortilla. Doesn't that just look perfect? And there it goes, it's starting to puff up. Oh, I love that. Now you wanna take it off. Now I have this really cool little tortilla container that you get at a Mexican restaurant, and I just put my tortillas in there. If you don't have something like this, you wanna just cover them up. You wanna put them in a bowl, put a towel over them, and that'll keep them nice and soft and from getting hard. So now I'm gonna throw another one on there. And I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna let it bake on each side for about 45 seconds, flip it, go another 45 seconds, flip it one more time, probably for another 20 or 30 seconds, and then it's ready. So I love using this cast iron tortilla press. I love it. They also have a 10-inch, like I said. I don't have one of those, but I wanna get one. We eat a lot of tacos, and you can still use these for really small burritos and enchiladas, but I think it's great. So easy, it's fun to use. My kids all like to use it too. So I'll use the rolling pin on this one. The one good thing about using a rolling pin is that you get complete control over how thick or thin you want it. This is kind of like pressing out a pie crust. To get it the most round, you kind of start from the center, and then you go back to the center, and you keep working your way out from the center. And it's thought that that gives you a better round shape. It's still really hard for me to get a nice round shape, but this works pretty well. So this is super easy to do with a rolling pin, but the tortilla press is that much more fun. And sometimes when you're in the kitchen, you just want to have a little bit of fun. So this is how I make homemade tortillas. These are so good. These are 100 times better than anything that you can buy at the grocery store. They have so much taste, so much flavor. They're buttery, they're soft, they're pliable. They are perfect for homemade tacos. Everything you put in these is gonna taste so much better than those things you get in a little plastic bag at the grocery store. So let's take a look. Here they are so far. This is all I've made, but I'm gonna take a little bite of this one. Can't even tell you how good they are. They are so good. I am gonna make some tacos tonight. I'm gonna have some shredded chicken, shredded cabbage, cheese, that yummy cilantro lime crema from Costco, but you can also just have salsa, sour cream, and that is a fantastic meal. Everyone just assembles their own tacos, and it's so easy for me as the mom. We love these. Give this recipe a try. I know that you're gonna love them, and they're so easy to do. Super fast, super easy, 3 or 4 ingredients. You're gonna love them. I will put the recipe down in the description. You can print out the recipe, make these, and let me know how you like them. Thank you so much for being here with me on Robin on the Farm. I will see you next time.
Robin's in the kitchen, dough beneath her hands, wheat from the fields and eggs from her land. Sunlight through the window, a warm golden glow. She's working hard to make that dough. With flour on her apron, loving each knead, ground wheat fresh, sowing her seed. The smell of fresh bread rises in the air. Simple life without a care. In Robin's kitchen, dreams come alive. Each loaf of bread a reason to strive. From sunrise to sunset, her heart's on show, working hard to make the dough.